Oh man, you guys remember that time that I was mid-flight on my way to visit you both and realized that I was missing a very important document that would get me into the country.
Oh shit, yes. The document.
Oh
The
yeah.
document.
Without getting into what that document is, I needed it to get through security at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I touch down, whip out the phone, and I'm like, I'm gonna need some help. We got a bit of a situation. The whole team hops on it. We're like, say no more. Hitting it with the battering ram of art, as it were.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of in line, incanting. This finger's like, I'm on it. Just throwing the big guns. I'm like, holy shit, here are all these spirits showing up and, get to the front of the line. Guy behind me starts screaming, like running around, grabs one of the guards, starts creating like a whole scene, like having a breakdown. And right as the guy is going to ask me for the document, kind of making a face at the computer, he just jumps up and waves me through. It's like, doesn't even matter, dude. Just go. Just get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, that's pretty good.
That was pretty slick because I was actually sweating.
Yeah.
Like normally, you know me, I have a lot of confidence that things will persevere. But this was a particular case that I was like, are they gonna turn him away at the border? Like, is he not gonna be let into the country? But I guess I was thinking about it too. I was like, what is the path of least resistance for the magic to do its thing? Because I think about this a lot, right, with other kinds of magic. It's like, okay, what is actually the way for this to manifest? And for those of you on the Patreon, some of the questions you guys have asked us about like some really spicy magic or like really intense results we've had or like full-on miracles. Like these are, the things that we say at Frightful House After Dark in the bonus episodes. And
Yeah.
even then very heavily censored. And I literally had to like do a divination to be like, can I share this in the public? And I was like, yes, but like dumb it down.
Mhm.
Um, but like this is one of those moments where I was like, what will it do? And like, will it just like bamboozle the guard? Will it like glitch the system? But then that would you still get held. Like you would get put like to the side. Like would it just be this whole long line thing? Like would they just forget to ask you? I guess that's an easy way to make it happen. But no, I
Mhm.
guess because of the spirits we were calling on, they were like, make the guy behind you freak out.
Yeah. Just make a commotion. Make it the easiest solution to everyone's problem just to get the people out of the way, right? And why push them back when you can go forward? But yeah, that was a fun time, and thank you again for all that juju in that moment. So that was good shit. It's a close call. We were the sweating guy meme with like 10 rags, you know.
Yeah, precisely. But from now on, when you travel, I'm just like, dude, the documents.
Yeah, every time I got updated documents, I got the spicy driver's license that lets you get over the border. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Be not alarmed at the frightful howls which you may hear. It's Svinga, Salt, and bamboozling the TSA pre-check guy key. Sometimes you gotta do it,
Mhm.
okay?
Just gotta discombobulate, bamboozle, bewilder, even.
Okay, was it that like the Sherlock Holmes movie with what's his face? Robert Downey Jr. Discombobulate?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That whole like pause, imagine how the bare knuckle boxing fight goes and then do it. Is kind of very Frightful Howl's core. If you know, you know.
exactly. Yeah, There's there's an affinity,
There's an affinity, exactly.
especially for discombobulation.
If you have an affinity for us, do check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com/, the Frightful Howls. I was gonna say check out our Twitter, but fuck Twitter. Okay, fuck X. Fuck all of that. Well, find us on Blue Sky, find us on YouTube, find us on whatever, wherever. I don't care. You can
We're
follow us individually. That's how you make it work, yeah.
yeah, we're everywhere.
Yeah. We're
In
in the
the
walls.
panop in the panopticon that is contemporary social media environments. You'll find us one way or another.
Yeah. Just make a smoke signal. We'll be there.
Mhm. Play us really loud next to your Echo or your whatever home surveillance where.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Our
we'll
our our soon to rug pull shitcoin will be available soon.
exactly.
But until then, it's patreon.com/, the Frightful House. We have a bonus episode every month curated by and for just you, our patrons. We have a Discord server. It rocks. Lots of fun memes, lots of fun experiments. Just a great community. We have Salt's fantastic almanac. Don't miss it. Comes up early in the month. We have a monthly live occult book club where we discuss a text of your choosing. Show notes for every episode and more. Also, remember to give us a like, rating, review, blow us a kiss on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you may be listening to us. It helps us fight the pernicious demiurge of the algorithm and bamboozle even more pre-check guys at TSA services. And speaking of services, check out our own. Key offers personalized coaching in magic and mediumship, sorcery for hire, readings, custom talismans, oils, tools, you name it, he does it. I offer bulk and Favamancy readings, and Salt's books are closed, but keep an eye out for his monthly astrological almanac on the Patreon. It is worth the price of admission alone. And lastly, hit us up on the social media. I'm at Dragon Cunning, Salt is at SaltCNC, and Key is at barnowl.key on the Instagram. Not that meta's much better, but whatever. We're there for now. We'll see
Mhm.
where we go.
Catch us on Xiaohong Shu, I guess.
God, I wish. I wish.
Oh man, got some cool stuff coming out on Instagram. Workshop is reopened, so stay tuned.
Yeah, yeah, because, drum roll for the episode. This is, I mean, you moved. You are now very
That I did.
close. You're very close to little old me. And I think one of the things too to note is there's a lot of crazy magic to do with being on the go and you don't have your shrines, you don't have your tools. And so this episode is kind of all about that. Like, what is it like to do juju on the go? Especially because it's a question that comes up a lot in the Q&A. We've answered it
Mhm.
in various forms, but it's time for a fully fleshed out episode because this is such a commonly requested topic.
Yeah, definitely. Just the when you're not at your shrine, what do you do? When your shrines are in various states of disassembly in boxes and you need to avert all the misfortune on your path, how do you make that happen? So
Hmm.
yeah, really excited to dive into what that looks like on a practical level.
Hmm. And I think, and at the end, we'll actually go over some moving tips in
Yeah,
general,
for sure.
since you just live that. And boy, is it hectic. It's a lot to disturb your shrines. It's a lot to tell your spirits, like, guys, we're putting you in boxes. No offerings for a
Mhm.
little bit in the way that you're used to them. And by the way, this entire setup that you're accustomed to is going.
Oh my god, yeah. It's the amount of resistance that even a tiny little rock on a windowsill will give you,
Hmm.
it's kind of surprising.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing like telling a spirit that really doesn't want to sit in a box. Like, I literally don't have any other choice. We're gonna have to find some kind of solution to this, and then you got to sit down for 30 minutes trying to explain to them that they've got to move, and to get that safely, they do need to kind of be enclosed in something. Because some spirits don't like that, and it's always tricky, right? Like having to navigate that kind of their particular preferences, I guess, or discomforts even in that situation because it's uncomfortable for us, right? Moving is a big deal. It's a lot of work for them. It can sometimes be even more uncomfortable.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So I guess we should start off with what to do before you leave. And we're talking about like being on the go. We don't mean like fully moving apartments the way that Key did, but we could talk about like travel, which is something that
Mhm.
we do quite a lot. And also what is it is to just be generally out and about. So I would say that the first thing before you leave, let's say for a vacation or a business trip or something like that, is just straight up tell your spirits that you're going. I've mentioned this before with my house spirit, and we will have a house spirit episode, I swear. The spirit of your house, the spirit of the land that you're on. I mean, I tell them everything. I tell them when people are coming over. I tell them about birthdays, important events, feasts that are coming up that I'm going to be celebrating, especially if they're not the usual ones on the calendar. But even if they are, I whisper to mine everywhere. My house spirit lives right over my sink. There's like a little nook over my sink, and I talk to them every day. And so, but in general, tell your spirits, plural, all of them, that you speak to regularly, or tell the one that is the messenger to the others. That kind of, if you have one in your court, usually there is one spirit that will volunteer to take this role in a court, that will communicate things to everyone else. Let them know I'm going to be going for a little bit. Tell them when to expect you. You can even tell them the purpose of their travel, and this can also prepare them for how to better support you as you're going. But conversely, do not tell other people that you are going. And so, for example, there's a few people who were like, yo, where's Key lately? Like, he's not online because you were really inactive in the Discord. And it's because it's not a good idea to tell people in general, unless they're like your closest friends or family, that you are traveling, or that you're
Mhm.
moving, or that you're just going on a vacation in general. Um, the more attention onto you, even positive attention, the more potential for the evil eye. And you guys know
Mhm.
that I'm an incredibly paranoid and incredibly superstitious Balkan grandma who is terrified of the evil eye. I mean, I'm not because, my pecs just deflect them. Boom, boom, boom. Pew, pew, pew.
Mhm.
All I have to do is flex. No, but like seriously, like obviously we have words, but it is more attention, even good attention can cause the eye to come upon you, or things like the eye. Spirits will gather, people will be interested to know what's going on. So, post pictures and videos publicly only after everything is done, when
Mhm.
you're back home, when you're safe and sound, like don't really put anything on social media until you're home safe and sound because it's easy for like flights to get delayed or like things to just kind of go awry. Pretty much just from like an abundance of spirits and people staring and watching.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think, normal travel advice is always like be careful about the lights on in your house and stuff like that, burglars and everything. But there's also spirits that like empty houses, right? Like they see no one's present, even the spirits are quieter than usual. They might try and make some room, find a way in. There's all kinds of things to be alert for in this kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's like nature abhors a vacuum, right? And like Salt was saying, when your apartment or house is usually kind of like a beacon for other spirits where they're like, hey, there's like a sorcerer there who's like always enchanting, who's always offering, who's just, stacking paper. Like, and
Mhm.
it's a, well, considering it was just Lunar New Year, it was like stacking literal hell money. Uh, you want to be careful because of course like they will try and worm their way in, and that's one of those things too is like in general it's just I've had this advice given to me over and over again by many mentors, which is just don't tell people when you're going. Post all the cool pictures when you're back. Tell your friends, obviously, if someone's going to watch your house or come by every now and then, or just like people that you actually care about and like know in real life, but like don't tell the broader world. um, Especially because when you're traveling, your defenses are a little bit weaker because you're away from home base generally. So it's a good thing to make sure that people don't like see that as an opportunity to strike, as it were.
Mhm. Yeah, like it's always so much easier and so much easier to defend yourself and so much easier just to bask in those passive protections and defenses of wherever it is you live, especially if you're dumping some milk and cheese on a particular tree every week, for instance. It's being like, keep me safe. And yeah, like when you are traveling, some more privacy-minded people that we know even have given some presentations about this, being like, have a secret vacation on deck.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah, a friend of ours once gave a whole talk about like having a decoy vacation. Like take like when you go somewhere, tell like nobody publicly that you went. Take a bunch of pictures and post the pictures like nowhere. Like don't put them anywhere, whatever like that. And then like later on, when you need to be doing like some serious juju and you need people to be distracted because I guess you're that high profile, like post a bunch of pictures as if you're there now, which like one, wild, I kind of love it. Two, probably unnecessary unless you're like a super high profile person that people are targeting. Like if you're a
Yeah.
targeted individual, you're being gang stalked like sorcerers. Or honestly, you just have very, very petty enemies. Which
Yeah.
is probably not that unlikely considering the state of culture right now. But anyway, that's a little that's I'm not gonna say it's extreme, I'm gonna say it's clever. It's just
Mhm.
not necessarily hugely of benefit to everyone listening.
Right.
But to that person, absolutely, I completely get why for them this is a necessary step because of their career and proximity and where they live and who they're around.
Yeah, totally. It's something to think about.
Something to think about. But when I'm going, I like I said, I tell my spirits what's happening. I give them a bit of an offering, let them know like, hey, take care of this place, and I give them the update on what to expect. Meaning like, hey, I will not be around for the next week or so. I tell them the dates. I need to make sure I'm home safe and sound. I need to make sure that when I'm back, everything is good to go. Nothing bad has happened. Make sure no one breaks in, make sure everything is safe, all those kinds of things, right? And then you could tell them another thing that I want to make sure is good by you guys is that I won't be around to give you offerings in the usual manner. Those of you who accompany me on my travels, I will give offerings to you while I'm on the road. But those of you who are not accompanying me, I'm gonna give you this now. It's a little bit more lavish. Like I don't go all out for it, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like something huge. I will do a bigger offering if I'm gonna be serious, like away for a while. Like Key, when you and I went to Europe, like that was a month of travel. So like I
Mhm.
obviously like made sure my spirits had a much bigger offering while I was away. But I told them like let this tide you over for now. Do with it as you please, refuel yourselves, and use it as kind of currency for the future. However, obviously, if you're making a bunch of food offerings and you're not going to be home for like a week and a half, that will get moldy and weird.
Yeah.
And so what I do is you don't actually have to leave food offerings out for very long. Like honestly, is I for the length of a candle or incense stick or even just an hour, like it's
Mm.
honestly good. So I will throw it out like when I do the garbage before I leave, so it doesn't stay. But I don't like glasses of water getting murky. So normally what I'll do is I'll empty all the glasses of water because I don't like the omen of them being murky and kind of gross when I come back. That honestly is like a huge pet peeve of mine. Like if that
Mhm.
happens when I'm back, I get really like, oh, I get irritated. So instead, sometimes a friend will come over and tend to them in my absence. Because I have a friend who has a key to my place. And she'll come over and refresh the glasses of water herself. But otherwise, if that's not going to happen because she's also away or she's busy and stuff like that, I empty them out and tell them like, hey, like I will make sure that everyone gets something when I'm back.
Sometimes, even when I'm traveling for long periods of time, there are certain shrines that I will cover up or tuck away, just kind of for their own comfort level. And it's kind of leading into something we'll talk about in a bit. But take a trinket or take a smaller icon, or even have sort of a travel version of whatever's going on at that shrine that can still be uh, fed after the fact if they're that finicky.
A couple people I know who like one of their main divination methods is throwing bones, which speaking of which, shout outs to our very good friend Matthew Venus from Spiritus Arcanum. He has an excellent course that teaches you how to do throwing
Mhm.
bones divination. But they'll have like one of their quote unquote bones in their set will be representing each different spirit. And so like those are actually their on the go kit as well. So like it is nice to have a minimalist kit for travel, which we'll get into in a second. But in general, also as you're going, I like to do a protection fumigation or spray for the door and the threshold. So like I will literally just like spray down the door, like put some alcohol or some floral waters down there, and I'll ask for like blessings as I'm leaving and protection for the door. Like I'll re-anoint all the windows and doors of the house, especially the windows that actually face the cardinal directions. And I'll like put a bit of like firewall protection oil or some other kind of home protection oil on them within cross formation so that they can know that like hey just keep prying eyes out, make sure that like no one tries to break in, that kind of thing. And again fortifying the spirits of my house because the house is a huge spirit on its own that talks and breathes and does all its own things, and I mean I talk to her every day, so it's really important that I make sure that I'm in good communication with her.
Yeah, I think notifying the household spirits is really so important. Like for me, the door gods are usually the first call of choice in that respect.
Mhm.
Make sure that no one unauthorized can enter, whether that's a person or a spirit. And also notifying them, hey, this is the person that will be coming. Please let them in, because obviously, spirits of doorways, spirits of gates, they can be quite martial in nature. You don't want them misinterpreting a friend coming over to help tend to the shrines as an intruder,
Hmm.
especially when their job is to protect the house or protect the shrines, right? So when
Yeah.
they see someone they're not aware of coming in, going up to the shrines, like, hold on, a bit alert and everything. So it can be good to kind of ease them and notify them ahead of time, that kind of thing, as we've obviously already said.
Yeah, totally. And that actually happened to me. It was my birthday, and a friend from the States texted me being like, "Oh, can I send you some like Uber Eats pastries?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. That's really sweet of you." And she ended up putting in my address and like that, and made the hit the delivery. The guy comes and like cannot find my house. My house has the number on it very obviously on the door. It's nestled between the two adjacent houses that have obviously the corresponding numerical order numbers, which are also clearly labeled. He is actively standing outside the house, spinning, like he's like doing an NPC animation. He's literally just rotating, being like, "Where the hell is this thing?" And she texts me, being like, "What's going on with your house protections? Because this guy cannot find it." He's texting me, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I forgot to tell my house spirit to expect a delivery." Because this doesn't occur for packages, obviously, but like when it comes to someone who has to knock on my house and find it, I normally have like some juju for that. So I quickly tell the spirit, like, let this person in, this is for me. And he immediately, like, I'm watching him through the window like a creep instead of opening the door and like waving to him, like snaps out of it and gets to the house and is like, oh, like he even like makes a face like, oh, what the hell? And knocks and then I open it and get the pastries, which were amazing. And I
Mhm.
shared with those spirits. But yeah, like if you really have a good relationship with your house spirits, even whether you own that property or not, like whether you rent or whatever your relationship with it is, um, stuff like that will happen.
It was such a funny experience. Just being like, I see number that's lower. I see number that's higher. What the fuck's happening? It
Yeah, yeah,
was so good.
yeah. But back to the minimalist kit for travel. What do you guys take with you when you're on the go?
So there's a number of things. I think one of the most important things is like a little tool bag. And that's essentially, it acts as basically a portable altar, right? Like you have a bag, you have it filled with herbs, stones, ghosts, cash, your divination tools, especially like divination tools that are portable, right? But that can be one of the most important aids when it comes down to, you know, staying at a hotel or somewhere very temporary where you don't have anything at all. Like you can't really bring any of your other equipment. Maybe you can't travel with, you can't travel with the things you'd normally have, like even talismans that you'd normally keep with you are a bit trickier to have for whatever reason, like storage or luggage capacity. But you can always at least carry one thing, right? Like you can always bring one bag, and it's good to have that bag filled with things that are going to empower whatever's stored in it, which is going to, nourish them, keep them well maintained in your time of travel. So that for me is like kind of the quintessential number one priority when it comes to moving around is just having a particular enchanted place to hold everything else, so to speak.
Totally, yeah. I like to have definitely like a magician's tool bag with me. It's actually in a really cute, like giant pencil case that has a very
Mhm.
cute design on it. You guys have seen it. But this will be again like a portable divination set. So it'll be like a little bundle of 41 beans that I have tied up, as well as like a yes no oracle. It will have quick like pack of offerings, so like loose coins, like often like it'll have tobacco, that kind of thing, just like quick offerings for it to go. Sometimes I even have little candies in there. Tokens to spirits that are portable, yes, absolutely. Like travel patois, travel like emblems or fetishes, especially ones that I know can like easily go through X-ray scanners, as in like they're not filled with stuff that, it's not like, oh my God, there's like an obvious coffin nail in that thing, right? It's something where it's not gonna like hit trip the lasers when they go like, what the hell is that? So I have some like tools that I have for spirits that are like intentionally made for travel that way, and sit and feed and are nourished by the main shrine, and then when I go, like I pop them in that bag and I go. A prayer rope. or like a rosary, like an aleke or gia set. For those of us who are in those traditions, I take with me certain ones that I travel with. One, because I know they're very durable, and two, because you can use them as a placemat for reading, right? You can like throw your oracle
Mhm.
inside of them, to create like a little zone. And you can also put offerings inside of them to the spirits that they're marked for. And then
Mhm.
I have my travel protection charms, right? So this is my charm for my flight not to be delayed, my charm for my for me to arrive safely. Key, this is actually your Saint Christopher charm.
A
Which my dad has a copy of it, and he does not leave the house without it, by the way.
Mhm. Yeah, I was really happy to get one to him as well.
So if you want to be cool like my dad, the Saint Christopher charms are still available on
Mhm.
withcunningcommand.com.
But yeah, having for me definitely a charm for the most common issues I'll run into at the airport, like charm for money in case my credit card suddenly stops working, or charm for charisma if I have like a weird situation with security or need to get my flight changed, or a charm for don't lose my stuff, especially having those sewn into the suitcase as on my person. And then always a deck of cards or something to that effect, like my Letterman deck, just because we're huge proponents of playing card sorcery. Of course, we always want to shout out Professor Porterfield with that.
Yeah, and shout outs to Star Cassis, Mama Star, for also having quite a good like a really developed technique for reading playing cards, which again
Mhm.
like $1 to $2 in like random airports and like gas stations. You can actually just get a divining set anywhere you are.
Yeah, like sometimes what I've done when traveling, especially if I I'm gonna, friends are gonna ask me for readings or something like that, or if it's like New Year's, for instance, and people are just like, "Oh, what's my year gonna look like?" I'll just buy a deck for that night and then throw it away the next day.
Mhm.
Be like, "Okay,
Totally.
that's the deck."
And I love having Juju for no one to fuck with you. So this
Mhm.
includes the TSA search guys, this includes cops, this includes anyone who could dress you down or cause you any problems. This includes a taxi driver being weird to you. Um, This includes just general protection, especially if you're a little bit more vulnerable when you solo travel, right? So I really like having you mentioned like sewing the invisibility pentacle from the Key of Solomon into the suitcase lining.
Mhm.
Really good tip. It does get like really spicy things to security without them caring about it when you absolutely have to, and there's no
Yeah.
option otherwise, and you have to bring certain things across the border. It's a good shout. Key, when you and I were in Europe, like I think we brought back like liters of alcohol from my family. Every person you met wanted to give you a liter of rakia,
Mhm.
jams that everyone made, 150 plus hagstones that we collected, dirts from like every other place. These were heavy bags, and thankfully nobody. I mean, not that those things are illegal to bring, but you know what I mean. Like nobody was even curious to look. Like, what the hell is all that
Mhm.
stuff?
Yeah. Why do you have a literal bag of rocks? Was never a question.
Yeah, or
Which
like
is always good.
bag. I think the bags of dirt probably look sketchier.
Yeah, true. Or just
Also,
like the mystery powders that we had as well.
yeah, absolutely. So in that case, I like to have some like I do travel always with some anti-cop juju. We did have an episode on certain kinds of anti-cop juju that you can check out. It was episode 33.
Mhm. Really fun episode. And of course, I think in that we told the powder story.
I think so. I'm a little bit lost. I just realized like, man, we've been really going. But yeah, there's a powder story, which like the TLDR is Key and I made like a very strong anti-cop powder, and then he put it in a sake tin, like one of the ones that like has the little plastic lid that comes off, to store it. And then I put it in my bag, and I had to check my bag because he sent me home with too many gifts. When I came to visit him, back in your old place. And one of the things that like the guy at the scanner wanted like flagged my suitcase when it was going through the little like thing. And so it went out, and politely stood in line and waited for him to open it up. So he's going through everything. He's being annoying. He's checking everything, which, look, I get it. It's his job, but don't touch my amulets. Don't touch my talismans, please. So he's going through all this stuff, and then next thing you know, he's coming across that particular sake can. And I'm thinking, like, okay, To be fair, that does have nails in it, you know, and
Hmm.
it does smell like shit. Um, and what do I say when he asks what this is? He's gonna smell it. He's gonna. Do I say it's a horrible spice rub? Like potpourri? No way. Like it smells like shit. Like what am I gonna say? And instead, he opens it, sniffs it, closes it, and leaves. Like straight up vanishes. Homeboy left. And the guy, I guess who was in the area with him, yells at him. He's like, "Dude, where are you going?" I get his shift was not over. So anyway, it worked. And then they just let me go. So it worked. And since then, I've used the charm that that particular powder goes into, for the same reason.
Hmm.
It is in my kit. Yeah, the anti-cop charm is in the kit.
Yeah. And that's one of the fun things about the kits, right? Is you can put increasingly outlandish things in them, provided that you are doing all the magic in order to get away with having that be possible.
Mhm. Totally, yeah. So, like, if you're traveling with certain amulets that enclose, like, for example, like Thai amulets or that are in their plastic casings, or if you have certain charms that you have, just make sure the stuff in them is not something that is going to provoke someone to try and scan it and figure it out. But worst case scenario, honestly, I've taken some serious shit across the borders, and like, the worst that's happened is someone's just looked at it and I'm like, it's a good look charm. And they're like, cool. And that's it. Like they don't really care.
Mhm.
But in general, yeah, absolutely. Take some stuff with you if you want to, right? It's nice. And I always, you cannot catch me leaving my damn house without my book bag or shoulder bag or whatever, with Sharpie, plastic bags, and a
Mhm.
little sachet of coins because I do be collecting dirt. And I'll often bring like this plastic spoon with me as well to as my impromptu shovel.
There's also the other side, right, where you do have absolutely nothing, which is something I think I find myself ending up in a bit more than Springer does because I'll be walking out there in minus 12 degrees weather, wearing just a shirt. And
Hmm.
that kind of makes, I think in those situations as well, we need to keep in mind the role of ourselves, the body, and not in a wooey kind of like new agey way, but like in a very real sense. Like we have spirits living in our bodies, we have certain consecrations, certain blessings, and so we can, when we have no tools, when we have no equipment to use, that's when we really need to start making use of these kind of virtues, these benefits that we've been allotted or consecrated into. I think that's kind of where those blessings often shine is when we have nothing else to do. Like we don't have candles, we don't have incense, we don't have talismans or tools with us because, we're on the go, but it might be part of our daily life. It might just be walking down somewhere, but we need, it's a rough area. We've got to do some protection work, or it's 3 o'clock at night. And in those kind of situations, like, you have, okay, no tools, start listening to the wind, start paying attention to the way the trees are blowing, ask your spirits to pass messages through that. The usual communication tips of keeping an eye on bodily sensations, as well as also the location you're actually in, right? Like engaging with the particular qualities of the locale. Like if you're in a busy high street that's now deserted, what kind of spirits are wandering around there, right? And making sure to draw on that to assist you in your work when you don't have necessarily the optimal setup or nothing at all, even.
I completely agree. It's one of those things that like I'm just giving like examples of what you could do, but Salt's completely right. Like you should be
Mhm.
able to do all of that with nothing. You know what I mean? It's good to have stuff for sure, but it's also good to know that you can divine using auguries of nature. You can divine using impressions from your spirits and the quick yes no method that you could honestly just probably consecrate like a random coin on the go to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of bottle cap divination.
Yeah, same. Always fun to figure out impromptu methods with your spirits and just be like, you guys can always find ways to talk to me, so let's meet in the middle. And
Hmm.
I think sometimes it's where some of the best systems come out of, right? Because
Hmm.
they're so idiosyncratic to that particular spirit that you're speaking with.
Oh yeah, and also like even things that are part of your daily routine, like you don't need to open up a pack of cards or an astrological figure to see how the rest of the day's going, right? You can have a cigarette on your morning commute, take a look at how it's burning, take a look at what color the fire is, how deep it is. is your role side and that kind of thing. And it's like that's so enmeshed in our daily routine that it's something we easily understand. It's something we understand the norms of. And it's also something that the spirits are quite likely involved in. You know, that's kind of the whole idea. It's something we're very strongly in support of at the Frightful Houses, enmeshing spirits into our daily lives, right? They're
Mhm.
participants with us in our daily life. And so that kind of thing, I think it really speaks to the utility and benefits of this kind of habitual activity where magic is a part of our daily life. It's part of our normal experience, and so this helps us substantially when we find ourselves not necessarily as well equipped as we normally would be.
Totally. Exactly. And remember, you can say no to the spirits that just show up and ask for things because you can't see them. Like they will come up to you in airports, in new locations when you're traveling, and they'll be like, "Oh, you see me. What's good?" And you could just be like, "No, dude, I gotta go." Like you don't have
Mhm.
to give them an offering. You don't have to owe them anything. You can just be on the run. But I think that's also another good point just to say oral charms are real and effective. All three of us are huge proponents of oral charming practices. All three of us are also initiated into various oral charming practices. So this
Mhm.
is one of those things to know that like your breath alone it absolutely contains all the power that you need when you're on the go and is you can absolutely call on your spirits to just come with you and protect you and envelop you. Sometimes when I'm like anxious, I'll be like, envelop me, like swarm around me as a cloud of serpents and help me move through this so I feel completely cocooned and cushioned. And that does more protection than anointing myself with an oil, for example, because I'm calling on my spirits, right? Now,
Mhm.
using the oil with conjunction with those spirits, that brings a new level to it, right? But like ideally, you can just do all of it essentially on your own. So these are just all possibilities that we're exploring.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
And like kind of in line with those, traditions and pacts and initiations, if you happen to have, a form of sorcery or witchcraft or whatever it may be that grants you kind of an affinity or alliances by nature with, a particular class of spirits or like a particular equivalent of a class of spirit that you are currently the living version of, then, you can call upon those forces kind of wherever you are. Just all of a sudden it's like, hey guys, that's cool that we were fist fighting in that intersection yesterday involuntarily, but like come to this other fist fight with me real quick, you know?
You and getting into fights, dude.
Yeah. These these birds be birding, man. I don't know.
Mhm.
But ultimately, if you are, like we talked about recently, someone who is experiencing kind of the pseudo voluntary or even involuntary spirit flight experiences, that's still a different form of thing that you can and often must do while you're traveling, right?
Mhm.
While you're out, you can just send that part of the soul, like you were both talking about, to go do the thing on the way back.
I mean, talking about being on the go, right? Being on the go both in body but also in spirit now, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because spirits will be just like, oh, you're like out and about, like you're doing stuff. Well, like now you're gonna be even more restless because you're gonna be flying too.
Hmm. Yeah. Luckily, a lot of the advice today also applies for spirit travel and astral voyaging, whatever you want to call it, spirit flight. Just
Mhm.
bring those same talismans with.
Yeah, exactly. Have your on the go shaman kit for when you're shamaning.
Mhm. Exactly.
But speaking of being on the go, airports, right? So we gave some general principles. I am a firm believer in saying hello to the spirits of wherever you land ASAP. So I will like get my empty water bottle through the security check and then I will fill it up at the airport and I will sip on it. And then when I get there, especially if I'm getting off the tarmac or if I like once I'm out on pavements, like once I've left the airport or if I'm like waiting for an Uber or whatever like that, I'll like unscrew it and spill a little on the floor and say a prayer um,
Hmm.
welcoming my spirits into this place, thanking the spirits of this place for having me, thanking the airport spirits because there's a lot of them. Oh my God. So busy, right? It's really weird too because it's like it feels like a spirit airport at the same time because you're just kind of like, bro, like everyone's cultures are mingling here.
Hmm. Yeah, like spirits are getting on spirit planes. everyone's coming, everyone's going. A lot of things just get stuck because they're like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I am not ashamed to admit I am insane. Period. Because I will save the little biscuit they give you on the airplane, like here's your little shitty snack, and use it as an offering. Unironically, I
Mhm.
will put it in my like I don't own purses. I'm not really a purse girl, like, but like I'll put it in my shoulder bag or my crossbody bag and be like, okay, this I'm giving to the spirits when I land, and be like, hey guys, here it is, and it's worked out great. It's kind of like buying a little shot of espresso and then leaving it at the
Mhm.
bar, or like spilling it down the trash can, and it's just like. I'm not making a mess. I'm just telling the spirits, like, hey, this is for you.
Listen, it's a really expensive biscuit, right? Like you're paying for the flight, and what you're getting out of it is a biscuit at the end of the day. So make sure to be putting it out with the spirit as well if you're listening, folks. Um, like this biscuit here, this cost me 750 quid. So
Yeah, this
just appreciate it.
Biscoff, this
Mhm.
singular Lotus Biscoff, guys,
Oh my god, yeah.
you know what I had to endure to get this thing?
It's kind of the same technique too, where if I know that I'm gonna want like a small shot of something to like give to a spirit or give to the ancestors, or if I need to like if something got a little weird or one of my talismans needs to be fed right when we get off the plane, I'll, buy a drink and instead of pouring the little shooter bottle of gin that they give you into the cup myself, I will just drink the tonic water straight up like a maniac and filter that thing away, you know?
Yeah, which I just want to make a quick emphasis. This is not something you have to do. You know what I mean? You might be thinking like, dude, I'm a magician. I don't do any of this shit. Totally fine. This is if you're feeling
Mhm.
a weird vibe, right? If you're kind of like, I could use some smoothness for this. I could use, this is like, what are you? You're actually in the airplane. Bro is literally in the sky. What do you do? And like, I've had situations where I don't even know if I can share this on air. But you guys know the situation when I was, the plane was going to turn around and the captain
Oh,
literally was like,
yeah.
"We're going back," and I was like, "No, the fuck, we are not." There is no fucking way I did not go through everything I just endured to have this particular trip get canceled or delayed by a day. No fucking way. Anyway, he was like, "Never mind, folks. We are actually going to name of city we were going to." And like the whole plane started cheering. And I'm not gonna take credit for that, but I am gonna say I was doing my mantras, okay?
Mhm.
I was like, brother, like I was crumbling that cookie, okay? I was making a powder out of it. I was snorting it. I was like hooting and hollering. I was like, guys, like I was full on. I was praying to all the saints and patriarchs, okay? Archbishop of Constantinople on deck. I was doing
Mhm.
my thing. I was like, Sveti Stefan Petroviti, it's time to go.
Hell
And
yeah.
I was telling my spirits, I was like, guys, we are not doing this. Figure out what they didn't tell us, like what the missing information is as to why the hell we can't make this work, and just ameliorate it. Turns out the reason he was going to turn around, by the way, was because like I don't know the full name of it, but like there's the flaps on the wings, like they couldn't get them like get into position, and the airport we're gonna land in is too small to land without those flaps like activated. So he was like, "Oh, we're gonna like if we can't open them, then we're gonna go back to the much bigger airport we're coming from and do a safer landing there than a smaller airport where like we need more of like the resistance." And basically like as I was doing the mantra, again, not taking credit for it, I'm just saying it just happened to occur at the same time. Like you get but it went a bump and like they open and he was like, "Oh, never mind, we're good, I guess." And you were tracking me. He was like literally tracking on like FlightAware, and he saw it turn
Mhm.
around and it turned back around. And I was like, guys, I just like serpents so much that I had to draw an S in the sky. Okay, don't worry about it.
Mhm. Mhm. It's,
Fingers Microsoft Flight Simulator experience.
Truly.
uh, yeah, that was some good work, Kane. If,
I'm not saying, but I am saying that
Mhm.
it was nice. It was nice that it happened. It worked out
uh,
in our favor.
in uh, in the flight simulator, I'm very proud of
Thank you. In Flight Simulator. But yeah, so what I'm saying is like if like you're not screwed, you know what I mean? Like if something
Hmm.
off is happening, and sometimes your spirits would be like, buddy, we just gotta go home. Like there are things we could do to make it work, but the cost of it and the stress of it, and also it wouldn't be ideal. Like trust me, you'll be relieved that this ended up getting delayed by a day. Like it'll work out in your favor. Cool. Then like that's what the donation's for. That's what good mediumship is for. You can check in with them, right? They're like, cool. It'll
Hmm.
work. It works out better that we're scheduling this. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but it was gonna happen anyway. Cool, no problem. But if you can feel that it can work out, as Key was saying, you can always you can hook your boys up a little bit with a bit of extra juice on the plane. It's also like if things are sus at the airport, like it's just a weird vibe, you can't just go to a kiosk and be like, I'm gonna just buy this thing and pour it out for Spirit.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Take
The
advantage of those off-duty prices, right? Necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
mhm. Do the craziest move of all time. Go into the convenience store and find that pound cake that they've got, just like
Oh
the
my
little
God.
bagged slice, and be like,
No way.
"Oh man."
Listen, Sin Expedite, Mr. Fast. That is nuts, and I'm proud of you for doing that.
Mhm. It was a bold move because I walked into the store to find, like a drink or some water to spill or just, the whatever candy that the spirit I was going to ask for help liked. And then suddenly it like snap panned to Sarah Lee. I'm like, all right, I guess
Mm.
expedite it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, know who you gotta say hi to as soon as you're there. If there's a patron of that land that you gotta say hello to in your prayers real quick. Because the thing is, it's like, again, don't feel like, oh my God, this is such a long list of shit. Like, it's not necessary. I'm just saying that, like, if this is the kind of rhythm you normally have, spirits might expect it of you because they're kind of like, you have good decorum, you're a magician, you know we're real. Like, where's your quick salve? Where's your quick hello?
Mhm.
Where's your quick hail to you? And it could just be that, like under your breath, a quick hail unto you, mighty spirits of this place. Thank you for having me. Keep me well, as I move through you, light the path forward, make it expedient for me, and I will honor you and praise you and your names forevermore, that kind of thing. Like boom, done.
Yeah, totally.
It's like we always say, when you are in your house, right? You're in someone else's house.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. So it's always good to say hello and bring a little housewarming gift.
Hmm. And speaking of which, when you get to your hotel, your Airbnb, your whatever, when the host has alcohol on deck, offering. This happens a lot, especially when where I've traveled, like the host will usually for Airbnbs will like have a little bottle of wine for you. I'm like, I don't really drink, so but anyone who's visited me that's like a normal person probably thinks I'm an alcoholic because of just how much liquor there is in my house. It's for spirits, don't worry about it. Um, but yeah, it's if I see that bottle of wine, which by the way, when we got into Cyprus, do you remember that the wine that was in our
Mhm.
Airbnb was called Aphrodite wine? It was the
Oh
white
yeah.
wine. Yeah. Uh, nice little omen of
Yeah.
things to come. But yeah, it was yeah, that was really fun. And so yes, I check out I will I'm the kind of person that immediately raids your cupboards. If you're an Airbnb host and you've hosted me, I did that. Like I will go in plates. Do you have matches? Do you have candles? If not, I will go buy
Mhm.
some. I'll get some I'll get a little I'll makeshift tinfoil fucking incense burner. Um a quick little thank you offering to the house spirits. I will unpack my shit and I quickly give a little offering. I will go and take like little cups, fill them with water immediately, and put them in the kitchen with the house spirit, like this little thing. I'm like, thank you. And then I bring my own talismans out and I put them in front of it. And I'm like, thank you. Like, quick little, like, guys, you got me here. I really appreciate it. And also, like I said, I will spill water to the spirits of the land outside the door. So I'll usually like open the threshold and do a few spills. When we were all in New Orleans, do you remember the sheer it was like like that Airbnb became a trap house for occultists for a while because we all came in, we all did this. We brewed coffee in the coffee maker and put cups of coffee at every windowsill to like
Oh
deal
my
with the
God.
dead because
Yeah.
the dead were obviously it's New Orleans, right? So the dead were so heavy on all of us, and like one of us was getting like partially possessed at that point. So it was like, no, let's just put coffee at the door at the windows. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, coffee filters super good for like
Mhm.
offerings because you can just put them anywhere, right? Great for
Right.
storing powders. It's great that, I will just go through it and be like, great, this is an offering, this is that. And key, because you and I travel a lot together, it is remarkable how we cannot enter a new space without you finding a wine glass, filling it with water, reversing it onto a plate, and putting like the house scissors on top and be like, boom. And you just conjure over it and put it by the door and then point the scissors facing the door. And you're like, cool, this is for anything that tries to fuck with us. And it always works.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a really easy piece of tech to set up in just 30 seconds, and then quick little prayer over it, and you're good. It's
Mm,
surprising how much even just a little glass of water by the door conjured to absorb whatever bad shit is coming, and alternatively to refresh anything that may be just poking its head in, because they know that this is a transient space.
hmm.
um, you can just be like, hey, stay over there. Everything you need is precisely there. Now get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, legit. Do you remember when we actually got back from the whole after that experience and we were just completely like bamboozled? We ended up setting up a shrine using the cairn of hagstones. We gathered at the
Mhm.
beach and like putting a bunch of lavish like fruit offerings in the market next door. It was really pretty. You can do a lot while you're traveling. I,
Exactly, yeah.
I think when we ended up in Croatia, we were just like, okay, we actually there was this beautiful ledge right in front of the window, in like the main kind of kitchenette bedroom all in one room area. And we just set up like a bunch of our spirit stuff there and like put like an offering of wine. It was
Mhm.
nice stuff.
Yeah, it was really cozy. And
Hmm.
like, you can get kind of creative with it and get really artsy, especially when limited, right? 'Cause you're like, I think that's the time where a lot of the love for spirits can come through,
Hmm.
and just be like, you know, I got not a whole lot, so I'm gonna make it extra pretty.
Yeah. And I also like I'll take the keys, the key card or like the keys from the lockbox or whatever like that, and I'll pray over them, like I'll thank the spirits, like I might anoint them, attach it to my key ring. If you're literally key himself, you have seven carbines attached to each other. Um, and each of them is juju, and they probably have some kind of like hydran type like naming system for their heads. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, the each one's got a little key of art. Drum roll, please.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, it's true. You do have like a decoy key on each of them. That's actually just like a charm shaped
Mhm.
like a key.
Yeah, yeah. Charm shaped like keys. This really beautiful one that we found at like a thrift store that just has Saint Christopher on it, that
Yes,
and like no
yes,
teeth.
yes.
Um, and for bump keys for those who know, but anyway. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just good to kind of put a bunch of stuff there. Um,
Mhm.
and also making sure that like if you get a free breakfast at your hotel, you know what I mean? You can always sneak a little offering up to your room.
Mhm. Yeah, like just kind of the offering etiquette of a small portion of whatever you're eating is pretty universally the best thing you could do.
Hmm. And like the spirits are there already, so they'll kind of appreciate that you thought of it. Because they're like,
Mhm.
you don't even live here. This isn't your place. Like you don't have to care. You're just in and out. Like you're here for like 3 nights. So they will appreciate that you did that and there will be extra protection and fortune for you. And I've noticed that like even if it's not like, oh, I'm not like in danger, like this isn't like I need that protection so badly, but things will go smoother. Like I'll just find more things. Like the land will be more hospitable towards me. Like I'll just get luckier when I'm there.
Yeah, it's really nice where it's like if there's suddenly something you want or need or just have a vibe to correct, and then that thing is laying on the sidewalk outside the next morning.
Hmm.
Uh, thank you, spirits.
Totally. And speaking of hospitality, going to a guest's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may be staying with a friend. And this applies even when you're not traveling, really. This is like you go just going to a friend's house in general. But bring a gift for them. And this is I will wield the hammer of culture upon you all. I'm from a gift-giving culture. I'm initiated into traditions that come from gift-giving cultures. Don't show up empty-handed. And if they're a practitioner, bring something for their spirits. I will show up with alcohol or a pack of incense or just something. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but just bring something for their spirits so that you can be like, I acknowledge this person doesn't live alone. I acknowledge they live in an ecosystem of spirits just like I do. When people visit me, they always bring something. And I really appreciate that because I'm not someone who's super materialistic. I don't really need a lot of stuff. Honestly, everything I'm very comfortable being very minimalist, but I do appreciate when people are thoughtful. And so some friends know individual spirits of mine, so they will bring something for them. And those spirits remember. Like later on, they'll be like, yeah, that guy actually brought something for me. Like they will remember, they'll bring it up, they'll like be more inclined towards them. Some of my spirits are especially like that.
Mhm.
And then others will be a bit more distant in the loop, but they'll appreciate that they now have extra incense.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, the gesture of it alone speaks a thousand words. So like,
Exactly.
yeah, definitely doesn't have to be lavish, but if you're like, hey, I stopped at this smoke shop on the way over and here's a cigar for you, a cigar for, whoever it may be.
Mhm.
It's uh it's big.
Exactly, yeah. And like I said, if you know individual spirits or deities that they worship or something like that, it's just good to bring something for them. You don't have to bring something for everybody, right? But like a general offering that can be shared.
Yeah, and like in those arrangements and in those traditions where it's like there's a specific, ruler of that house itself, it's like, thanks for letting me be in your house.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you
Go back to the club.
I listen. I don't even know. Like that Adam Driver like Megalopolis whatever Megacoculus meme has honestly lived rent free in my head. Anytime I've entered a nightclub, it's like a NPC like speech bubble. It just enters my brain. I can't get it out. And I mean, listeners of the show already know that I suffer from major internet brain rot. Like it's actually genuinely bad. How much like Salt and Key could just easily trigger me by like into like a fit of meme speak if they say the right
Mhm.
things around me. And they do take advantage of it. Usually not on air, but like sometimes it's happened. Salt especially, he's done it more.
Mhm.
Um, it's yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, so when you go back to the club, I think it's worth noting that there are so many people I know who are practitioners, and when they go clubbing, they have the same technique. One, before they get to the venue, if they're still in line or whatever, little cigarette on the floor with a coin and a thank you and a hello to the spirits of the nightclub itself. When they get in after they've passed through coat check or whatever like that and they're getting their first drink or like their first bottle of water. Wink, wink, giant pupils dilating. Nudge, nudge. That's me. I'm there. It's like, hey, can I get another bottle of water, please, or a Gatorade? And like the poor lady's like, yeah, of course, And I'm just like,
Served it.
yeah, I have pupils completely dilated.
Mhm. Served it to the Sumerian statue looking.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you know, you know. But get a little shot of something for the spirits. Like pretty much everyone that I know that frequents nightclubs is into techno like we are, is into raving, whatever, like will get a little shot of something and just pour it on the ground. Listen, the janitors have seen worse, okay? People have thrown up, people have already spilled shit anyway. Like the first DJ isn't even partially through their opening set and someone's already spilled something. Like I know it's like, oh my God, but for the poor janitor, it's already going to be like that. It's a nightclub. However, it's just a little something for the spirits. I will even just pour a little bit onto the ground. Thankfully, because I'm in traditions that do consider like the trash, for example, like garbage cans as places of
Mhm.
sacredness, because this is sort of spirits that take things that you don't want to be around you and go away, move them into other locations. They're warrior and healer spirits that are able to say that like this doesn't need to be here, so this will move, right? Think about how horrible your life would be if there was no one collecting the trash. So
Mhm.
these spirits are obviously healers of social varieties too, right? Like it's like the person who's being a little cringe in the club and is acting like a creep, like they will remove that person. They're spirit bouncers, right? You can actually pour sometimes offerings directly into trash for that reason. But generally, I do a little splash on the floor and I'm good to go. And again, since I don't drink, this is like my one chance to be like, I'll get a shot of tequila, please. Boom. And I say my hellos to those spirits, especially if you come in traditions that acknowledge certain kinds of spirits as patrons of these kinds of venues. It's a good thing to be like, hey, like I know you're here. I know you're here. Thank you. Hello. I'm gonna have a great night. I'm gonna make sure I chew my gum and stay hydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good just to be able to work the ambient environment,
Mhm.
work the room wherever you are. And I think no matter where you're going, be it even a club or a church, which what's the difference? But the even just saying hello to the spirits there is immediately going to improve the experience.
It is a great offering is an acknowledgement. It's just a hello.
Mhm.
Like think about the difference a smile makes, right? Sometimes the offering that I leave when I'm moving through a particular place, like a forest or a church or a crossroads, is just a hello to let the spirits know I see you.
Our Lady of Gurnon, please protect our teeth.
Literally, yeah. It's just a good salute.
Hmm. And those salutes, I think, are even magnified when you go to places of power where those spirits are going to have a bit more oomph than just like the random thing you're going to walk by on the street, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
You can actually, draw on, artifacts, the conditions of whatever's going on, the history, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, when you're traveling, you're going to go see like a museum or you're going to see like a temple or a church or a mosque or a place of like significant spiritual presence or like a famous mountain, you're hiking someplace. It's good to bring something with you. A water bottle is great, just a little spill on the ground. I leave coins everywhere I go. A tobacco, just a cigarette on the floor, leaning up against something intentionally for the spirits. A little shot of something if you have a little bottle. I think, Key's the kind of person who'll just get like little bottles of ouzo or whatever and just spill them constantly.
Yeah, like roll up on the gas station, just get like a little shooter bottle of something, and that lives in the graveyard kit or lives in, whatever other sorcerer kit that you're bringing
Hmm.
along.
And then meanwhile, because Salt rolls his own tobacco, he just has infinite offerings.
Hmm.
It's so much. It's honestly really clever, and two, it's obviously cheaper than smoking pre-rolls. But like, it is nice. You could just like sprinkle a little bit on the ground.
Oh yeah, it's still. I mean, there's so much utility in it, especially when you get into like, there's the fine details right like, hey, which paper's better for asking oracles?
Hmm.
Is it thin or is it thick? I like thick for that, but
Hmm. And
yeah,
plus,
there's always nothing.
I think the rolling
Always.
paper, you just have instant like petition paper and sigil paper because you can burn it so easily.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Or messages to send to spirits who aren't otherwise accessible. What kind of things you can do with it.
Hmm.
Being a smoker is a bit of a blessing in this respect, at least.
Hmm. I mean, it's on the one hand, like it does make your breath martial, which is not always ideal for certain kinds of magic. On the other hand, boy, do you have like instant access to all the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. One of these days we got to do a just tobacco and cigarette magic episode.
I mean, yeah, honestly, it is such a potent plant ally. And not to
Mhm.
mention, like, so revered in so many traditions, like a lot of the offering practices I've learned from the local indigenous tribes that are around where I'm currently living in, has to do with ways to bury tobacco and ways to use tobacco as an offering of medicine wherever you are, really.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And just like, even the notions of like, when you're in a session and you're smoking 50 cigars in a night, in certain traditions, or when you have to give it up completely because the ability to call upon the spirit or deity of that particular plant is contingent upon you not having an addiction to it, you know, and all those dynamics in play. Fun stuff, but all things to think about.
Mm.
Also, when you are leaving offerings and when you are going to all these places, especially just to get back to the note of places of power real quick, I'm thinking of cemeteries primarily for this, but really like, if you're going to dispose of other magic, or if you're going to, leave an offering somewhere and you happen to be crossing through, just knowing when it's appropriate to take a different route home, leaning on folklore as well of when it's not appropriate to look back behind you, and just having the manner in which you're traveling participate in the spell itself.
Mm. I'll also say a great offering to learn in general, and this is to harp on my usual train on this podcast about learning languages, is learning the basic phrases of the
Mhm.
country that you're visiting, your usual hello, goodbye, thank you, your where is, how can I get to this place words, and also researching ahead of time, like what are the prominent land spirits, what are the prominent, you can scry that from far, you don't have to, learn when you're there. What are the prominent saints? What are the prominent historical figures? Who is venerated here, what are important places ahead of time. Whenever I travel, I will make a Google Maps like list full of like power spots, places I've scried, places I've noticed there's like interesting energy here, places where like prominent people were buried, like interesting cemeteries and stuff. And if I have the time, I don't have to visit all of it, but I have the time, I'll be like, this is the main monument where when I scry this place and notice spirits gather here, I'm going to leave an offering here first. And that's one thing that I think I've trained you guys to do as well when we go, because this has really worked for me. Like I will scry ahead of time. If you want to learn how to scry, check out Key Services and our gal Rosa Aurora's services because they are the best in the game for teaching you how to do it. Um, and then you
Thank
go and be like, yeah, of course. And you go
you.
and you're like, okay, great. Like I see it, this coagulating spirit stuff happening here. There's like this one woman who seems to like haunt this particular park here. Like she's around the town square, and like I could probably do something for her, that kind of thing. I could appease the spirit this way. And like next thing you know, you are getting everything free. You're getting the bartenders are giving you free shots, like the bookstore is giving you a free book, like this random person encounters you and just gives you a cool little like charm. Key and I exit a church and we were given like free prayer cards, a bunch of other stuff that are not giving other people.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the thesis of this episode is like you don't have to do this for things to go well, but it will go so much better when you are acknowledging that there are far more things in the place around you than just the other people and animals.
Yeah, yeah. So this is again to protect you, to get things to be smooth so that you don't get robbed, that you're fine, that you're comfortable. If you're more vulnerable, especially, it's really good to just make sure that you've upped your protections. To make people around you want to help you and intervene, spirits to motivate people around you that are strangers to suddenly help you if you're lost, if you're sick, if you need a ride, that kind of thing. To make sure
Mhm.
you're not taken advantage of in any way financially. For example, you're not given a higher price just because you're a tourist. And also just to make sure that like things again go smoothly and well and pros with a lot of prosperity. And of course, what happens when you get back, right? When you've gathered all your dirts, you've left all your offerings, you've done all your things. And remember, do leave an offering when you gather material, even just like one coin or a little splash of water. Otherwise, spirits can rob, quite literally. They can like plunder the spiritual virtues of dirt that you collect or material you collect, and they become inert very quickly. There's
Mhm.
divinations that can be done to check if this has happened to dirt that you've collected. This is also why I tend not to buy like dirt from, you know what I mean? Like I will
Mhm.
ask, like if I'm getting it from somebody, I will be like, please make sure you leave an offering. Like don't mail me dirt if it's not gonna have an offering attached to it.
Mhm.
But yeah. And of course, yeah, when you're coming back again, spray the door again, leave another offering, set up, refresh all the cups of water again, put food back at all the shrines, say thank you, tell your spirits what happened, the ones that didn't come on the trip with you, the ones that you have to like remote view to like contact. And go run through your steps that we talked about in the before you leave section. Um, just update them. Again, figure out your
Mhm.
offerings, do your little fumigation spray, update your wards, re-anoint everything, right? Imagine that some juju has depleted slightly from you not being around, and a lot of your spirits having left with you, so just bring it back.
Mhm.
Take a good bath, a nice cleansing bath, like anything that might have followed you home from the airport. And that's the other thing too. Little rewind, I just realized when you get to your Airbnb or hotel, like you can like take their soap and stuff herbs in it. You know what I mean? You could just juju the shit out of
Mhm.
that. I like bars of soap that you can travel with because you can already pre-load them with juju and you don't have to worry about like liquid regulations for flights. You can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
put it in a carry-on. But like that stuff is really good. Like I always have like an anti-evil eyes soap and like a prosperity like luck soap that I travel with.
Mhm. Yeah, or even if you have like the really tiny liquid bottles of shampoo that you can get through the regulation, just drop a sprig of whatever in there.
Mhm. Yeah, literally, I will go to the nearest grocery store, buy fresh rosemary, and put it directly into my shampoo bottle.
Mhm. It's the move.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And yeah, the one of the things of getting back, or even when you get to a location, or just kind of like while you're out and about, asking for a report of what happened while you were away from whoever was holding down the fort.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Salt, this reminds me of when you would like ask the generals for like a status report, essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always, you got spirits administering things while you're gone, right? Like your spirits, in my case anyway, who are in charge of like managing offerings in general and things like that. So obviously, when you've been away for a long time, they've always got a long list to also things that they've been up to, right? Like not just what has been going on in the house or like property since you've been gone, but like what's been going on with your spirits whilst you've been absent or unable to attend to them in the regular way, right? Because they're going to be going about doing their own things. So you want to keep up to date on that, just to know, be notified of any changes amongst them or any adjustments in their needs, things like that.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, like the whole. Did any visitors drop by and they're going to come back at a certain day so I can better receive them at that point? Did the house incur any debts while I was away because a spirit with the authority delegated to it to be able to do that had to make a deal or something,
Mhm.
all those fun
Mhm.
things.
I love having like a Nazar, like an anti-evil eye blue bead on the front door and on the security cameras with utter juju taped to the back.
Hmm.
I'm always watching, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Had a seven of hearts that was jujued playing card attached to the peephole of the apartment door for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I have a couple playing cards, especially some of like the figure cards, like the Jack of Diamonds, for example, over certain doors that are like watch my back essentially when I come and leave and go.
Mhm.
If for folks who live in like an apartment building or something like that, if you have a fire panel in the property and it's open access, like it's not in a CCAF room, you can always include some like protection stuff on there as well.
Hmm.
Fire panels are a great place to juju because it covers the entire, it covers the entire electrical system as well. So you can protect things from power surges, fire risks, all kinds of stuff, or even prevent your property from being damaged by sprinklers going off badly.
That's such a good point. Yeah, especially if like you're in an apartment building or condo and like people keep annoying you by like tripping the alarm and the whole building has the alarm because like someone was stupid with their toaster or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're feeling vindictive about that as well, you can also make sure it's also a way to make sure the person gets caught doing it because it's like a $500 fine, at least in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no kidding. For real.
Mhm.
Well, Mr. Key, what do you do when you're moving?
Oh God.
everything.
What don't you do when you're moving?
Hmm.
I mean, the process begins long before the move itself. The one piece of advice that I can give is expect everything to take infinitely longer than you plan it to take. Because, like we were joking about at the outset, that rock will have opinions, and the things watching you have that debate will have opinions.
Hmm.
So there's, of course, just planning for it to take time, explaining to all of the spirits very diligently what's going on, see who is coming, if there are any spirits who, for whatever reason, would like ask to stay. Like, I don't know that familiars would necessarily do this, but just allies who happen to be in the environment. Like we've mentioned that merchant spirit that I used to talk to, and he's like, "I got a pretty good thing, but see you later, homie."
Hmm.
But that's also a good thing of giving a bit of a send-off gift to the spirits who are going to stay local, and being like, "Hey, I'm not really going to be back here physically for quite some time, so I'll see you when I see you, and I will definitely be flying out here. But here's a bit more of a lavish offering for that relationship that we've had, and that also helps you dislodge yourself from the matrix of obligations that might be holding you there, including those that you're not even necessarily conscious of, like the debts that you incur just by doing magic in an area.
Hmm.
Um, helps to remediate and pay those off. Just some other considerations of like that are really practical. Of like, if you have fragile shrines or shrines that are sensitive to proximity to even necessarily other shrines, know what can be packed with what. I had some really funny, almost anime tier moments arguing with spirits to be like, you got to be in the box with that guy, dude. I'm sorry, but this is just the way it fucking is.
They're like,
Um,
I don't want to share. I don't want to share.
yeah, like squished up against each other in there. I'm
No
like, don't worry,
keys.
guys. Yeah, literally. I'm like, it is. Here's a new spirit fanfic pairing. See how they interact. But sounds a lot less serious than it is, but like having the consideration of, if there are shrines that have to be in a certain state of purity, packing them with similarly obligated shrines, because you don't want to crack open a box and have people any more frustrated than they already are. When you get to the new house, being conscious of what the first shrine in the door is, or what the first spirits inside are, and what the last spirits inside are. There are specific requirements for this dictated by certain traditions that come into play, but really it's just negotiating there and understanding the symbolism of that act, and also who gets fed first in the new house is a big thing. But before even necessarily moving things in, this is a technique that I picked up from my roommates' families in the past when we moved. Is you get a evergreen branch and some red thread or fiber in one hand, and you make a broom out of it, and then you have the lease in the other hand, and you go through beating the walls, sweeping the floor, being like, "Whoever lived here before, get the fuck out! This is my place now."
I
And
love
I
it.
love that.
Hmm.
But it really
Yeah.
helps to in some form or another, just sweep the house out really fucking well, just nuke whatever lingering soul fragments or energy or vibes of the previous tenant, especially if you're renting. Get all that out of there and have a nice little start. There are some nice house blessings that you can do, like a candle in every room, or lighting up the fireplace, all that sort of thing. If you brought your house spirit, I know Svinga, you always love the boot.
I give a boot to my house spirit. I'm like, you go in here when I'm not looking, because I know you're private and don't want to be seen. And I'll carry you over there, and then I'll put it down. And then when I'm not looking, you'll slither out and enter a new place, and you'll tell me where you want to be. And I'll set up your shrine there.
Mhm. Such a good tech.
Hmm.
Uh,
We'll have more of
it's
this in
well,
the eventual house spirit episode, more detail on like house spirit tech
mhm,
in general. But like suffice to say, you should know who's coming with you and who's staying.
totally, yeah. As part of their installation, because I'm me, immediately jujuing the landlord.
Yes, yes. Episode 38, guys.
Yeah, that just is what it is. It has to happen. It's like I'm not sorry for it. It's just the natural order of things that the landlord's getting jujued.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then all manner of house blessings that you can have done. Different traditions. Like even sometimes the priest will come out and do it for you, or whatever the priesthood of that given thing is. Will come on over and just immediately, especially if you own the land that you're on, figuring out who's there and saying hi.
Yeah.
Moving shrines is a process.
Yeah, you have
But
to know
setting them
which
up.
ones like have to go in first versus last, or like some of them are like they either have to go in first or they go in last. They can't go anywhere in the middle. So like
Yeah.
sometimes some spirits will be a little tricky with like which box goes in. Label everything, obviously. Clean off every shelf with like a nice floral water or something like that, like a nice like perfumed alcohol, a spray. Put in things for blessings everywhere. Pack everything up all nice and tight. Fumigate everything. Tell everyone thank you, leave additional offerings at the four corners of the property, and then get the hell out of there. Because you gotta not let the spirits of that place want to keep you, because they're like, bro, we like that you give us offerings, and suddenly they just want to keep making you stay and stay and stay. That's why you say goodbye and you make your boundaries very firm.
Hmm. And knowing that line in those boundaries and upholding them, of when you need to stop asking and start demanding. um, I know this is a thing that you gave me a great deal of advice on throughout that whole process thing, yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah, it makes a big difference. Going to the spirit and being like, "Listen, man, I know it's hard, but you got to get in the box one way or another."
Literally, yeah. And remember, you have so many tools in your body. If you have spirits in your body, if you have body medicine, if you have spirit initiations that have put things in your literal flesh, if you know how to use the magic of your bones, if you know how to use your every finger as a different wand to command a different planet, right? If you know a lot of hand magic because of either like literal sleight of hand techniques, if you're key, or like magical palmistry, knowing like where things are on each joint.
Mhm.
If you know how to do your prayers, if you have your shit memorized, if you have your little like on the go Google Doc of art that has your prayers and things of that nature. If you know that when you're in the hotel, you can use that Bible for everything, right? Like easy peasy, just get the shit out. Like every motel and hotel will usually have one, so you can just immediately rip out pages, do things with it, like swallow the, like pages, like make it into petition papers, all that kind of stuff, right? There's just so much stuff available. If your Airbnb host has olive oil, right? You already now have a blessed oil easily, right? And you can just do so much, anointing your feet, making things like smooth, like putting coins there, right? Like there's so much that you can do. Creativity quite literally can be infinite. You just have to make sure you can commit to acknowledging the spirits around you, being a good neighbor, cleaning up after yourself, not leaving any litter, right? And ultimately just being a good guest, right? You want the spirits to give you 5 stars, not just the Airbnb host.
Very well put.
Hmm.
Just making sure you get that 5-star rating, which by the way, go to Spotify and give us one. It really helps
Yeah,
us.
yeah. Get that
Um,
shit on deck so we could fight that demiurge.
mhm,
But yeah, just I think some fun musings on travel magic. Obviously, this could be 7 hours long, but we're not gonna torture you guys. This is
mhm,
more just some like, what are the bare bones tips that are tradition independent is really what we want to think about.
mhm.
To help us help you when you're on the go because it's a vulnerable time, right? Like people get sick when they're traveling. People have like weird shit happen to them, just delays, discomfort. You don't have a home base to come back to that's necessarily hospitable, right? Things that happen at the airport, things that just happen in general, inconveniences and so on. So this is why we want to kind of stick to some basic things that can help you when you're out and about. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it very much. What is the music that we are listening to on our next travel? What are our Akashic records?
Man, oh man. My Akashic record of the day is pretty good one. It's Victoria's Get Up Bench Shake Your Ass with Anita. Techno
Yes.
banger, techno club all star.
Oh,
Um,
fucking Anita, always.
mhm.
I do play this in the morning when I'm having trouble doing my morning routine. Like I have to do my skincare. I have to, yeah, it's too much. I will play Get a Bitch Shake Your Ass.
So many good remixes of it, but it is just the club all star that will make you move one way or another.
Literally, yeah. My Akashic record is Goran Bregović's Gas Gas, the Chantal versus Bregović edition. Um, for my Balkan homies, shoutouts. But also because this is what I played when a bunch of us were hanging out in person and we had to do a whole lot of manual labor, including flattening a whole lot of dirt. And we were losing steam after listening to like so many hours of like Key's favorite like rap hits. And I was like, hold on, I know it's gonna make us go fast. And so yeah, check him out. It's on our Spotify, the Akash Records of Frightful House. You can find a link to it on withcunningcommand.com/podcast. But wait, there's more. I think even Salt has one.
I do, and the title is the same. It's Gas Gas by Manhole, which
Ah,
is
the classic.
yeah. I mean, you're in your car, you're on the go, so it's time for some Euro beats, some initial D tunes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yes. I am so glad that you suggested one. And also, what a great one in general.
Genuinely, yeah, genuinely. Gotta go.
Gotta go fast. It's strange how many Sonic the Hedgehog references we have in this podcast, especially whenever Mohegan's on. We should call them. We should be like, hey, buddy, get on another episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Mahi, we know you're listening to this. DM us.
Yeah, literally. We talk. It's almost like we talk to you every day. But amazing. Okay, and the license to depart is a weird one. Key, do you want to explain the context?
Yeah, so we were kind of scratching our heads a little bit for what the license to depart for this episode would be. And we remembered that in the Grimborium Verum, there is a talisman that I think we also talked about with Mahi in one of their last appearances. But it is the garter belt that helps you go long distances very quickly. And the spoken charms that are said while this is being created are just weird.
Mm,
And the one that kind of turns the talisman on, as it were,
hmm.
that
It's the keys
you,
to the ignition.
yeah, yeah, you stamp your feet 3 times on the ground while wearing the garter, and right as you start your voyage, you say this tongue twister that I always get wrong because I always think it's in the wrong order, but I think it's correct.
Mm, mm,
Hit the tip line if you've done this one. Let us know if you change it, and you'll see what I mean.
mm.
But yeah, the license to depart is early for thee, turly for thee, early for thee. Turly, early, Balthazard, early, Melchior, Gaspard. Let us go. Back to the club.